We're on our way to Sephora, walking to one that we probably shouldn't have walked to. But look what we found. Ooh, for lease, generic, unmarked corporate park. This could be a winner for tonight. Good morning. Welcome to my campsite. This is one of the few nights I have paid to sleep anywhere. I feel like I want to put a chocolate on my pillow or something. Like, dang, look at that home. Today on the channel, we'll be getting into all of the wear of living in my car. It's basic essentials. You can guess what they are. Most of them are all of the reasons why people don't want to live in their car. So if you don't want to hear about how I do it, then feel free to skip to the next one or maybe even skip to a different video in this series. I will say that these tips will work for you whether you're living in your car or not. Long haul road trip situations, any kind of public festivals or events when you need to use, never mind. If you tend to go on campouts but don't like limited facilities, I'll tell you some of my favorite spots, but also my favorite spots, those are my spots. Like, I put time and effort and curiosity and intuition into finding those spots. Apple Maps is doing me dirty. You're doing me so fucking dirty. It's 7 o'clock at night on a Friday, and I'm just so exhausted. This is the second campground. Oh, that was it. That was a real one, but there's no fucking way. At least this time there was a sign that said camp. The first one, there was nothing. So they will forever be mine. But I will be taking you through some practical tips and intuition practices and the mindset that you can adopt to find your own spots. Let's get out of my car and get into it. Where do I sleep? It depends on a few factors. We're always balancing safety, late night access to a bathroom, and privacy. In general, I err towards safety and privacy over a bathroom. At least for now, I trust in my bladder's ability to resist. If you have to pee at random times in the night, then the recommendation changes. It's an emergency. This is a worst case scenario. It is 1:40 in the morning. We were in a beautiful spot in a corporate lot. And I think we're gonna have to give it up to answer nature's call. Let's see what we can do about this. Marriott, what a great brand. Always there when you need them. No lobby manager. Not even a key card required. The angels were looking out today. Your options are basically campgrounds, which you can pay for, residential streets, mixed commercial, clearly safe, but not occupied, business like warehouse commercial. Every once in a while you can find a hotel embedded in a mixed commercial so that you can actually walk across the street and use the restroom. This is a dream spot where we've got Holiday Inn, single stall, first floor bathroom, park across the street, endless day use parking. I could live here. I really could. Or big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart. I personally have never done Walmart. I know it's the most classic, accessible place to go, but that's also why I resist it, because there are always people there. My favorite is like a medical / a dental independent practice situation. Nobody gets there until maybe 6 in the morning, and then it's like one person. Also, the ownership is very unclear, so I think it's way less likely that anybody's gonna have a problem or express the problem. You're balancing the odds of getting in trouble. So there's basically a Venn diagram. Somebody has to notice, 2, somebody has to be bothered, and 3, somebody has to do something about it. And what I've learned is that is very unlikely to happen. Maybe that's just dumb luck, maybe that's where I've been staying, but that's what I've noticed. I've also heard you can do emergency rooms. I haven't tried that so far. Again, I prefer to be the only car. Energetically, I'm very sensitive. I would prefer people not be around. That makes me feel safer. I know that's not the case for everyone. If you had a van, it's gonna be very obvious. Oh, somebody's living in there. I have a car. I can get away with a lot of other things that you wouldn't. Except for the headlamp. I think I give off the, oh, somebody just left their car afterward. I think there's also just like a social expectation that like, oh, van's in the back of whatever lot. Fine, whatever, but a car, I feel like you are a little bit more of a target. Given the price of vans, I feel like van people are a lot better target than me. If I had a van, the build in my mind is, but that's fine. Next is everyone's favorite topic. Where am I going to? I'm not going to tell you how to use the restroom. I'm not going to tell you how to clean up after yourself, but suffice it to say, single stalls are ideal. Some of my favorite places to find a single stall, Starbucks almost always is formatted as single stalls. They're also great because there's almost always at least one Starbucks that opens at 4:30 in the morning. So you're probably covered. My favorite spots are individual standalone establishments, and they're my spots. But in general, what you're looking for is a boutique-y style cafe that ideally even shares a space with a couple other establishments. Those like first floor, multiple commercial locations, nobody really owns the bathroom, so you can always just like sneak in through the back, take your time, do whatever you need to do. And they also tend not to have codes or locks or other complicating matters as sometimes Starbucks can. But also, I mean, if you're going to Starbucks, you might be able to spend the $2 or whatever on a sparkling water. But also I understand if you don't want to do that because it's kind of annoying. The next major chain that you're probably not thinking about though is grocery stores. And personally, I love Whole Foods. The Whole Foods that I was going to where I had been living was ideal because it was single stalled and it was on this side entrance. It was kind of visually blocked from the rest of the store, so you could really go ham in there. Like I would easily bring my red light face mask, mini toiletries, and just kind of hang out and do my thing back there. And obviously they're pretty clean because it is Whole Foods. It's a little more upmarket. Another one that I looked into, malls are pretty good as far as cleanliness. Yes, you are kind of the asshole using the family restroom, but on the other hand, what do you want from me? All right, now that that's out of the way, we can all be content and weird about it. Showering. This one is getting much more complicated. My life was much easier back in Illinois. It was very cheap and it was very easy. I had a gym membership that was reliable. There was even a gym at my work, which I had 24 access to. So there was always like an emergency place that I could go. They had really nice gym facilities that nobody was using. So again, would go ham at my work. I would also go ham at my gym, but people were there. They just got to witness that. It is getting more complicated now. It turns out the gym that I thought was a national chain is a national chain in a select number of cities. So we're kind of back to square one with most of the Middle West. Yeah, I don't know. I might switch gym chains. I might just figure it out day by day. We'll just see how this life situation progresses and go from there. Another option. I'm not saying to do this. I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying this is okay. But in theory, one could pull up to a random campground, assess the situation, use their facilities, and drive away unscathed. In theory, that could be done. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying whether or not it is possible, but that is another option. Also, often truck stops will have showers that you can pay for. I haven't done that yet. I feel a little weird about it. I would honestly prefer paying entrance for a rec center, getting a workout, and then using the shower, or just paying at a campground. And I'm willing to pay for things. I'm not trying to be the type of person that's like, I'm not going to pay for anything. But it's also kind of thrilling. And it's fascinating. Like, what do you really have to pay for, Something I found is nothing is illegal if you're early and fast enough. This question comes up for my friends a lot. It's like, where do you go? Like, what do you do all the time? When I was working at the office, it was kind of a relief because I didn't have to figure out a place for myself to be. But in general, there are quite a few places that you can access. You can rank and prioritize where you're going to spend the majority of your time based on how much money you want to be spending, how much free time you end up having, and what you might need to be doing during the day. If you need to work, you're going to need access to Wi-Fi. If you need to take meetings, you're going to need access to a somewhat quiet room. Of course, it's based on the expectations of the people that you're meeting with. You get very good at spotting outlets. You would be amazed where outlets sometimes exist and other Wi-Fi sources that you're able to access. If you're trying to take a nap, which I have been so tired throughout this experience, and so naps are very crucial. There's only a few places that you might feel comfortable doing that. If it is more of a personal practice or a spiritual practice and you need privacy, that's also going to limit where you can actually do that. Parks are also beautiful. I think people in my town definitely thought, wow, that girl, she really likes parks, apparently. I have been really grateful that this experience has forced me into these public spaces that I wouldn't necessarily frequent, even though it is really good for me. Full moon in Capricorn, we've got our very ad hoc ceremony here in the park. We've got our crystals, Diana's bananas, Palo Santo, sunsets, and a lot of random people walking past, which I did not anticipate. The time that I have spent in nature has been so healing and fulfilling, and so I'm glad that it has forced me to be outside more than I naturally would. Like, instead of sitting on the couch, I'm laying in the grass, which is really restorative and nice. Granted, that is a weather-dependent space, although you can just park your car there and sit inside. Well, so much for my nap in the park. Are we just gonna go back to Whole Foods? Yeah, I think so. Campgrounds are probably the best place if you're trying to do something a little more secluded and private, like a ceremony for yourself, journaling, although sometimes they're actually less private because the sites are so close together, but certainly it does have more of the freedom that you are allowed to be there. The times when I am in parking lots, I really limit my personal practices because I really don't want to make it clear that I'm not just parked there because I needed to get off the road or something. Fitness, I mostly had been using my gym and my work gym, which had independent studio space as well. My personal fitness practice includes individualized yoga as well as dance. And so I needed these like larger studio spaces. Not all gym facilities have that. If you're not going to do it at the gym, this is in theory. I'm not saying to do this or that I've done it or that it can be done. But there are also many spaces that you can just drive up to and access and utilize their outdoor space. Use your intuition, tap into the environment that you want to be in and embrace that. Oh my God, did you see the hummingbird? That was so cool. Wow. I hope that was on the camera. Public libraries are great open spaces that are free and available to you. They do tend to open at 8 or 9, sometimes as late as 10. They can close as early as 5, but often the best ones will be open from like 9 to 9, so you can get a pretty solid day in if you need Wi-Fi. Then you're basically locking yourself into a library, a cafe. But again, Whole Foods is also really great. They're open late and they have blindingly fast Wi-Fi. Also, surprisingly fast Wi-Fi, United lounges. So if you're looking for a very straightforward way to get fast internet, just buy yourself a plane ticket and also have membership to the United Lounge. Small boutique places tend to have faster Wi-Fi. They tend to be a little bit more fast and loose about their network setup. They're less likely to have specificities about when you can log in, how you can log in. So assess and find that cafe that is really permissive and inviting. Every once in a while, you'll get really lucky, and there are these cafes where they have exterior seating that's not very visible, and they have a back door that's like pretty prime. You can stay there after hours. You don't really feel guilted into buying anything. I always try to buy something anywhere that I'm frequenting, but I'll leave it up to your judgment. Well, another thing I'd recommend if you're going to stay in an area for a while, you want to be looking for cafes that are open the latest. You also want to use network detector. It'll tell you the speeds of the network. Like, for example, if you need to be posting YouTube videos, that'll give you a sense of like what you can be doing. Well, a couple other Wi-Fi hacks is often you can be outside of the building and the Wi-Fi service will still be active. I've done this multiple times at Starbucks when I needed to make a self-imposed deadline and they were closing. But I've also been to Starbucks where they've gotten clever and they will shut down the Wi-Fi at a certain time. Well, again, this comes down to where you are relative to how many other people are practicing the same kind of lifestyle. I got into this a little bit in my last video, but I try to take a very proactive approach to safety. Maybe this will bite me in the ass at some point. So far, it has been totally fine. I honestly think it would be more trouble than it's worth with me. Don't bring a knife to a knife fight if you don't know how to use a knife, essentially. I try to really assess the location that I'm in. I do tend to hang out in slightly more affluent neighborhoods. You're looking for that scent of Xanax in the air. It's like people aren't really paying as much attention as they necessarily would, which is also really dependent on the state that you're in. Where people are camping a lot, people are a lot more sensitive to you using their facilities. Laundromats, the only thing to say about that is I prefer the more mom and pop, like doesn't have a website, barely has a coin machine, because they are just so much more affordable. Honestly, like it's a load of laundry. I really don't think it matters that much. I mean, you want it to not be disgusting and you don't want the machines to be broken, but I've seen some absurd prices for laundry. I'm not willing to pay $5 for a wash. The first time I tried to do laundry, I actually did try to send it out. That was a huge mistake. That was so expensive. I think I spent $45 or something on laundry. So never doing that again. I did it because I try to be really sensitive and hang dry some of my clothes, but I realized you can hang a clothesline in your car. That one makes it pretty clear what's going on. So use your judgment and discernment if you're ready to commit to that, but it can be done. I do want to share a spiritual practice slash lifestyle slash consciousness practice. You don't have to believe anything to watch this video. It's probably better if you believe in less, because then you have more time on your hands to watch the whole thing. I have experienced massive gratitude for the spaces that I use that are free. I've noticed I'm way more likely to go above and beyond cleaning up for myself. I'll pick up other trash from other people. Like if it's a bathroom that I technically have no right to access, I definitely make sure to clean the hair out of the drain. But seriously, it is a way to drop into a practice of gratitude and recognition that this space did make itself available to you in the moment that you needed it. It also really helps balancing my lifestyle, like because I have to be in locations that I don't own, it limits the amount of time that I can do any one activity. So I can only work between these hours and I can only sleep between these hours, and I have to follow that. If I don't follow that, I'm gonna get found, or I'm just gonna be told that I need to leave. Thank you for watching. I do apologize for the lighting today. The sun is it's so bright on this mountain, but it's beautiful and restorative and healing, and maybe it's reflecting off of my face and into your heart. The next video is either going to be a general reflection on how I felt in this experience, or it's going to be a list of things that you should do before you adopt a nomadic lifestyle, before you move out of your permanent residence. I don't know, leave a comment, vote. What do you want to hear about? I feel like that one's going to be kind of boring, but what isn't really? Hope you have a beautiful week, and I'll see you soon.